Reading the top of this page is exactly what we went over before, talking about integers being the positive and negative integers, positive and negative numbers. We talked about rational numbers, which are numbers you could be written as a fraction. I do want you to see that fractions don't have to be so nice, like 1/4 is 0.25. 3/11, that is a fraction. It's a repeating decimal, so any repeating decimals can be written as fractions. So any repeating decimals are also rational numbers as well. And then again, there's irrational numbers. We know several of them, like pi and the square root of 2. So again, let's see some examples of why it's so important for us to know this. It says use roster method. Really important that we read the directions on these problems. Use roster method to write each of the given sets. So what does that mean? That means all of my answers need to start with a braces. We're going to have to separate each of our answers with commas, and then we're going to write brace at the end of it as well. So here it says the set of natural numbers less than 5. Remember, natural numbers start at the number 3 and go on up. Natural numbers do not include the number 0, so this is exactly what I was talking about on the previous page. You need to be sure that you understand the definition of what natural numbers are. So what are the natural numbers less than 5? It would be the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that would be it. Let's look at part B. It says solutions of the set x plus 5 equals -1. Finally, we're seeing some good math here where we have to solve an equation. Hopefully you know that you have to isolate x by subtracting 5 from both sides. So you would end up with x equals, well, -1 minus 5 is -6. So a lot of people would say the answer is x equals -6. That is not true. That is not the answer. Why is that not the answer? Because we need to write our answer in roster method. So our answer must be written as braces -6 with a brace. If you wrote x equals -6, which is the solution to the equation, it is not the solution to the problem. Your answer must be written in roster method. If you don't write it in the proper form, then you will not receive credit. C says the set of negative integers greater than -4. So we got to think about the negative integers. What are negative integers? Well, I'm going to actually work backwards here. Negative integers start with a -1. It's a -2. It's a -3, and it goes backwards from there, right? Those are the set of negative integers. 0 is not a negative number, so we can include 0 on up. It's not all integers, it's just the negative integers we want to think about. So it says the set of negative integers greater than -4. So which of those are bigger? Well, it's just the ones we've actually written. -3, -2, -1. Okay? A lot of people would make the mistake here and write comma 0, comma dot, dot, dot. But that is the end of negative integers. If it said all integers, you would have been right. You would have done comma 0, comma dot, dot, dot. Okay? But it's just the negative integers. Let's look at example 6 here, 6a. It says use roster method. Again, we're using roster method. We have to know how to write our answer. And to write the answer to the given sets. The set of whole numbers less than 4. Now we're dealing with whole numbers. And you got to remember that whole numbers include the number 0. So whole numbers go from 0 on up. So what are the whole numbers less than 4? Would be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So that answer, part A on 6 versus part A on 5, the only true difference between them, other than the numbers 5 and 4, is do you include the number 0 or not? And the only way you know that is if you know what natural numbers are versus whole numbers. So let's look at B. It says the set of natural numbers larger than 11 and less than or equal to 19. So natural numbers, they have to be between 11 and 19. So let's just think about those numbers. Not too much work to show on this problem. Have to be bigger than 11. So let's start at the number 12, 13, 14, and then it's going to go all the way up to, and it can equal 19, so we have to include 19. So rather than writing them all out, I'm going to be a little lazy and I'm going to use the ellipses. Notice I've put 3 of them before I've used the ellipses. I've put the comma before the ellipses and the comma after the ellipses, which is necessary, and then I can put the number 19 and close my braces. Again, I could have just written them out, but I wanted to show you the proper way of using ellipses in this case. Okay, it says the set of negative integers greater than negative 5 and less than 7. They're really trying to trick you on this one. Note, 0 to 7, or 0 to 6, because that's the numbers are what we would be talking about, are not negative integers. So what most people would have thought was do all numbers from negative 4 up to 6, the numbers between negative 5 and 7. But that's not correct because it says negative integers. So you have to be really careful here. They're trying to trick you. The first negative integer that's bigger than negative 5 is negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. That is the end of negative integers, so we close our braces and end shop there.